Greetings, Mavericks and new viewers. Tonight, direct and live from the Maverick News Network World Studios. This is Maverick News with Rick Walker.
Welcome back, Maverick family and new viewers from all around the world. We have a special report tonight on the immigration issue in Springfield, Ohio. You may recall Donald Trump making headlines, as usual, but in this case, some time ago during the campaign for re-election, for his second kick at the can, talking about Haitian immigrants eating cats and dogs. Well, now the situation, of course, is a whole lot different in Springfield, Ohio, because Trump is back in office and ICE is going after those Haitian immigrants, and they are being tracked. We'll tell you how, we'll tell you why, we will get community reaction tonight, and we will dig into the whole immigration issue in a deeper way tonight, and I'll have some help along the way with some people who are in the know and have been looking into the issue and are directly involved in the issue. So we'll be talking a lot about that tonight. We also will be running Maverick Midnight Matinee this evening because we didn't do that last night. So feature movie at the end of tonight's broadcast. It will be related to a lot of what we're talking about tonight. Of course, we also have today's other top news stories to bring you. And I think maybe most important, sort of headlining everything here tonight, is the ongoing war of words between Donald Trump and the families of the sailors aboard the aircraft carrier that has been in service now for 9 months. Yeah, the Abraham Lincoln. So we have all that and a whole lot more when we come back on the other side of this.
Maverick News. The new wave in news. Donate at maverickthenations.com.
So before we get into the immigration issue, we'll bring you some of the top stories for today. We have, of course, the ongoing controversy surrounding the USS Abraham Lincoln. Families of sailors still coming forward to bring their stories to the public, the stories of the sailors, as Pete Hegseth, Secretary of War, saying the reports from media about the conditions deteriorating aboard the USS Abraham Lincoln because of the extended tour of duty, which now is at an unprecedented 9-month stretch. He's saying that it's all fake news, and Donald Trump saying pretty much the same thing. And in fact, when he was asked, was it yesterday, about the issue, he said that the Abraham Lincoln had not been in service long enough. He literally said that. I don't know if he actually meant it. I think it was more of just like whatever the media says or whatever any critic says, he says he's just going to say the opposite. It seemed like he was just being opposite man with a knee-jerk reaction, but the media making, political hay out of that tonight. So on the other side, the families are pushing back because they're saying that they're not lying. And it's pretty clear that they aren't lying. There is a lot of evidence coming out that all of the concerns are legitimate. Overblown? Well, you can assess the degree of concern yourself, I suppose. And well, I guess we should probably be listening to the families because they're in direct communication with the sailors. We know that at least one sailor jumped overboard because of a mental health issue. The stress, I guess, getting to the crew at this point, and you can understand why. I mean, they're bobbing around out there on in the ocean under constant threat of attack, and Iran is not letting up. The war is not going as smoothly as Donald Trump would like us to believe. His news is obviously fake. Here's the wife of the sailor pushing back hard on Trump.
What was your reaction today? What was your reaction today to President Trump saying that, in fact, he didn't think the USS Lincoln's deployment has been, quote, long enough?
Oh, my God. I don't think the man thinks before he talks, and I was really hoping that at some point there would be a redemption. Try to redeem yourself at least a little bit with everything that you do and everything that you say, and try to redeem yourself. Have some sympathy, some empathy, take some accountability for what's going on with your military, your ships, in your war. It's infuriating. I mean, we heard what Hegseth said yesterday, what the president is saying today. It's infuriating, essentially saying that families are lying and service members are lying, even though the proof is right here on my phone. It is not fabricated. Nobody is lying. Everybody it's infuriating that they're not taking accountability and not having any sort of sympathy for our service members that they claim to scream and shout that they support when it's politically, sound for them to use support our troops until our troops need support. And now suddenly everyone's lying and it's a fabrication and it's a misrepresentation. It's infuriating. And I so badly would love to plaster my face and blow the whistle so loud on social media with my name and be like, this is real. We are real people. Those are real people on that ship. This is actually happening. But unfortunately, I have to protect my husband's career. And, he's making a career out of this, or he was. I'm not sure what he's going to do when he gets back or what his plan is going to be after this.
Thank you so much for your time and for your family's sacrifice and, of course, for your husband's service.
That's CNN. Of course, yesterday, Trump came out and said that he wants to declare the Strait of Hormuz U.S. territory. That took me by surprise, but that's what he has been saying. Iran retaliating with narrative of their own, social media posting, statements being issued, saying that Trump is delusional and he should accept the defeat at this point, and I guess go home. That is not going to happen, and I don't. Certainly, the United States is not defeated at this point. In Iran as well, they are ramping up the propaganda. Big billboards, posters going up all through Tehran. Very violent and scary depictions of skeletons and violent depictions of war, saying that retaliation or revenge is inevitable as a result of all of this. And I suppose in this case, the old rule that for every action, there's an equal and opposite reaction sort of holds true, so that we're seeing the United States attack, Iran responds. With the response, the United States attacks. It goes back and forth, around and around for circles. In circles, it's been a tit for tat all the way along. Still followed from the Alberta separatist movement's unveiling or release of a proposed constitution 2 nights ago. They tabled this proposed constitution, which I think in many respects Well, I think it surprised some people. It looks like the movement overall will, if Alberta were to separate and these people were to lead the province as its own country, you would have no health care provided by through social programs of any kind. They're also talking about changing the way that people would be entitled to citizenship, saying only people who are born in Alberta would be considered for, who would only qualify for citizenship. And the controversy, well, there's infighting, feuding among the Alberta separatists with some of the people, the leaders, saying that the proposed constitution, which came forward from the Alberta Prosperity Project, is not something that would set Alberta free. Some of them have distanced themselves from it, including Keith Wilson, the separatist lawyer, who is apparently someone who helped draft the darn thing. At least that's what the people in the APP are saying, while Wilson is saying that he hasn't even had a chance to review the proposed constitution. So I don't know what the truth is, because the truth is elusive when somebody's clearly lying, or maybe all sides are. And I don't understand the infighting on that level, but it's all been very public. And sometimes I think they do that stuff just to generate clicks online and to generate interest. And here I am talking about it again tonight. So there's all that. But I think the most controversial thing that happened was one of the featured speakers at the event stood up and made it very clearly was a very racist comment. And that triggered, again, a bunch of people in the separatist movement to distance themselves from it and say, oh, we don't have anything to do with that guy. But he's been deeply involved in the movement, and was one of the people up there making the presentation. And when he said it, at least half, I could hear them, at least half the crowd applauded. Whether they realized what they were applauding for or not, well, that's up to you to decide. But the man who made the comment, I guess, has since resigned overnight because of the public backlash against what he had to say. So I think that it exposed, one of the dark sides of the underbelly of the separatist movement out there. And so distasteful was it that even they couldn't withstand the public pressure or the political correctness surrounding all of that. So with that, we should probably prepare to start to dig into our feature report tonight. And I'm supposed to have a guest on to help me with this, and he has not yet arrived. I'm a little bit surprised, actually. And oh boy. Okay, so looks like the link is not working for him. I don't know why. I'm going to take a little break. I'm going to see if we can make this work. Otherwise, I'll just have to go solo, I guess, tonight on this. And that's okay. Well, I do have actually one other guest lined up, so we'll go to that for sure. I have a feature interview out of Ohio coming up. So stay with me. We have more coming up right after this.
We are the Mavericks. Welcome to the Matrix, baby. Hope you like the view. We are the Mavericks. The world is watching. We are the Mavericks.
Maverick News. The world is watching.
So tonight we are going to dig into this Haitian immigration issue in Springfield, Ohio. You may recall that during the last presidential election, Springfield, Ohio, focused a lot of focus on that community because of comments that, well, because of social media posts making accusations of Haitian immigrants eating cats and dogs. And it was crazy. And Trump latched onto this, believed it, and he started talking about it in, well, he just started talking about it. And it became something that even was front and center during the debate between Kamala Harris and Donald Trump. In any event, that put Springfield, Ohio on the map, even though it was already on the map because of the Simpsons episode that talks about, talking about Springfield, Ohio, which made people's brains explode. And then you've got the immigration issue layered on top of all of this, right? But the cats and dogs thing, that's just a lie. It was a lie from the beginning. It's a lie. It's still a lie, and it still persists. It's out there. It's actually kind of gross, very gross. The the prejudice, the racism around the whole thing, and it's ridiculous. But that being said, it's a very serious situation on the ground there now, and that's because you now have ICE moving into the community, and they've been moving into the community since Trump took office again, because the whole immigration landscape, the situation is completely different now because, we've shifted from Biden now to Trump. And as a result of that, the policies have completely changed. The narrative politically and through the media has changed. And what I'm going to do tonight is bring you a side of the story that I think largely, especially on the conservative side of the media ecosystem, you're not getting this information. The perception that has been left with people, especially in the conservative side, has been very skewed and inaccurate. So I've been digging into it over the last few days. I have a feature interview lined up for you out of Ohio tonight to get you closer to the truth. But first, let's do a little bit of a social media scroll to show you the status of things. And I'll explain in the course of this what the biggest concern was. The thing that really touched a nerve with me was these ankle monitors that are being forced on the Haitian immigrants. Now, we talked about this last night. I think we ran this clip from this lady here explaining the issue. We're going to explain it in more detail as this report continues. But here's, I think this is more of a conservative side. This is panic is erupting among Haitian immigrants in Springfield, Ohio, as temporary protected status has expired and an ICE surge is imminent. This was back July 28th. And so, yes, things have really ramped up since then. And it was beginning right around that time. It says hundreds of thousands of migrants, including several thousand here locally, are questioning what comes next in their legal U.S. status. The temporary protection status expired on Monday. That was, what was that, July 28th? And it affected the Haitian community here in Springfield. That's all very true.
Enforces the law as
hundreds of thousands of migrants, including several thousand here locally, are questioning what comes next in their legal U.S. status.
The temporary protected status expired on Monday, and it affected the Haitian community here in Springfield. 2 News reporter Avery Feldman is live up in Clark County this morning, breaking down what we know so far. Avery.
Caleb, Kelly, around 12,000 Haitian migrants here in Springfield lost their work authorization last week, and now with TPS's expiration yesterday, they may be at risk of removal. Right now, the judge that initially ruled against the government's motion to effectively end TPS for Haitians back in February, has the case again in front of her, though experts say she does not have many options. A Supreme Court ruling late last month allowed the Trump administration to proceed with plans to end TPS, which impacts over 300,000 Haitians in the U.S. The Department of Homeland Security sent us a written response as to what comes next, reading in part, quote, ICE enforces the law as written. What makes someone a target for immigration enforcement is whether or not they are illegally in the U.S. Full stop, end quote. The Department of Homeland Security also tells us anyone who does not self-deport will not be able to return, but the Haitian Support Centre says there is no way of knowing who could be detained, even if someone has a pending asylum case.
At the end of the day, no one knows exactly what's going to happen, like the 27th, whether there's going to be like another extension, because we're talking about like the law, all these things, they are like so stretchy, like you don't really know exactly. That's why you cannot speculate or you cannot predict things. You cannot say this is what's going to happen.
So that was back in July. Things have escalated since then. And now they're putting ankle monitors on the Haitian immigrants. Here's a clip back from July again as the as ICE began to surge in the community. And we'll just run a little bit of this.
Few years, an old industrial city that now is really coming back and moving. The city of Springfield has come back strongly over the last few years, an old industrial city that now is really coming back and moving forward. One of the reasons they've been able to do that is because of the Haitians who have filled these jobs. They not only have filled jobs, they've started open restaurants, they've bought homes and rehabbed houses. They've done a lot of things that frankly have contributed to the community. And for them to be lost is going to be a big blow to Springfield, and it's going to be a big blow to the state of Ohio. I think, though, it's not just about Ohio. It's not just about Springfield. If you look at caregivers, if you look at long-term care in this country, about a third of them, people who work in nursing homes, are immigrants. If you look at home health care, where they keep people in their own home, which is what we want, about a third of those individuals are immigrants. And so when you start deporting them and getting them out, people are really going to suffer. They're going to really feel it.
So this is kind of the point, okay? This is what touched a nerve with me. When I saw the use of these ankle monitors this week, because they've ramped stuff up now, the thing that instantly came to mind for me was shackles used by slave traders. You know what I'm talking about? Yeah, sure you do. I'll put up some images here. And it's not hyperbolic because, the interview that I'm about to do, it's a recorded interview that I did earlier today out of Ohio from a community center there. And it will explain why. Maybe you don't know your history. Maybe you do. Maybe it doesn't resonate with you, but it certainly did with me. And the reason is because Haiti has such a long history of oppression, first ruled by the French, and the population there, the Haitians, enslaved. As a result of the oppression, there was an uprising, and it was a country that successfully emancipated itself, in a matter of speaking, from the French in a violent uprising. And finally, the French did recognize Haiti as an independent country because they wanted separation and independence because they had been enslaved, and it was violent. But the French demanded reparations, so it put Haiti into a spiral of poverty. The United States eventually ruling over the place, and things didn't really get any better. They've just been constantly oppressed. They also have had to constantly endure natural disasters, earthquakes, floods, all kinds of problems. In 2010, there was a massive earthquake, 200,000 people killed, huge disaster. As a result, the United States, extending a hand of compassion and allowing a lot of Haitian people to come to the United States with a temporary protective status in order to move to the community, to the U.S., and were given permission to work in the U.S. while that situation was being dealt with. And then there were just a series of other disasters over time, destabilized governments, the overthrow of the government there, leaving gangs in control in many parts of the country. And as a result, it's a violent place to live. Often women and children are raped because there really isn't a stable government in place, and it's still not stable today. I listen to people here in Canada complaining about our situation and how it's hell on earth, and I hear, you name it, people just complain. But the truth is, it's all first world problems that we're dealing with here. As bad as things have been, especially since the pandemic, no excuses for the government. I'm just saying that as bad as we maybe have it, we don't really have it that bad, especially when compared to what the people of Haiti have had to endure, compared to, the Dominican Republic right next door. Haiti, it's like night and day. Dominican Republic, a playground for tourists, and right next door, Haiti, an impoverished country, still in political turmoil. And that's why so many Haitians were allowed to come to the United States, immigrating. And as they immigrated, as the governor of Ohio just indicated, they filled a void, a vacuum in some communities, specifically Springfield, Ohio, because that's a town that was hammered economically through the 70s, 80s, 90s, when factories were shutting down and the big corporations, the big corporate oligarchs were making bigger and bigger money by outsourcing production to other countries, shipping the production out to countries where wages were much lower: Vietnam, China, Mexico, Sri Lanka, you name it. All through the 70s, 80s, 90s, it was an erosion of jobs. Springfield, Ohio turned into something of a ghost town, losing much of its population as people moved away because factories were shutting down. There were no jobs. There was no future in the community. Eventually, the community leaders were able to bring in new investment, new industry, but it took a long time. However, when they did that, and there were companies specifically like Amazon that set up a distribution center, for instance, and that's not an uncommon thing in a lot of communities now, as the economy has shifted in the United States. This is, of course, pre-Donald Trump, right? Here, I'll show you. So yeah, there were food processing plants that finally were brought into the community. There was new investment. And one of the biggest developments was the establishment of an Amazon distribution center. But they had a problem. They had a labor shortage now because so many people had moved away. So that's when the Haitians really started to come to Springfield, Ohio. A number of years ago. What was the year? That would be probably around, I'd have to check the year again. In any event, it's within like the last probably decade. And they've been filling these jobs. The perception left with the media coverage out there, of course, is that you have all these Haitian immigrants who have snuck into the country, and they're all in the country illegally, and that's why they're being deported. And that's not really an accurate portrayal of the situation, because all of these people were allowed into the country legally with the TPS, temporary protective status, and they were allowed to work anywhere in the United States. They ended up in Springfield, Ohio, because of the job opportunities. And then the word went out from, this little diaspora that had been set up, this Haitian diaspora, and that they told other people from Haiti who had come to the United States, you should come here. So they began to come from other parts of the United States and from Haiti, and they started to fill these jobs. They became part of the community. Some of the people working now in Springfield, Ohio for like 20, 30 years. Some of them for 10, some of them for, haven't been here as long. But they're not, they didn't like sneak into the country, through a mass migration surge like, we saw in Spain recently. It's not like they were flooding over the border, trying to get past immigration officers. It wasn't like that. It was over time. And it wasn't even like a government program, but what was going on was these companies were encouraging people to come, and they were telling people that they were hiring these Haitian employees. Go tell your relatives, tell your friends, bring them here. We need people to work. And they came because they were promised jobs, given jobs. They were working. They've been working. They've been paying their taxes. They've been contributing to the community. They've been helping, as the Ohio governor just said, they've been helping to rebuild Springfield, Ohio over the last couple of decades, putting it back on the map, getting it back up on its feet. It was a ghost town, practically, and now it's vibrant again. It's coming back to life, and it's largely because of the labor that these people have invested. And that's the story that really is not being told in the social media posts where they're talking about Haitians eating cats and dogs. The posts are dehumanizing. The posts are actually, really disgusting when it comes right down to it, because it's a lie, and they're designed to dehumanize, to divide, to get people angry. That's what it has always been about. And Donald Trump was using it during the election to get himself elected, which is even more disgusting because he was lying his ass off too. And he doesn't care. The thing is, the United States also has a deep history of slavery. And these shackles were a key tool of the trade for slave owners in the United States and around the world where there was slavery, including in Haiti. That's why there was a violent uprising around, what was it, late 1700, 1804, somewhere around there. And yeah, a lot of people were killed. The Haitians enslaved. You'd be pissed too. If you were being held as a slave, I would be. I'd fight back. I wouldn't take it, would you? We got locked down, and that was more than I could take. I was enraged. You want to make me a slave? It's bad enough when you're working for minimum wage. Some would say that's like modern day slavery, and you work in farm fields, that's modern day slavery. But sometimes a lot of these people are working for below minimum wage. I don't think that's the case in Springfield, Ohio at these Amazon distribution centers, but I'll tell you this. They're not making $100,000 a year. But they are the people who have been breaking their backs, working their fingers to the bone to make sure that everybody ordering their crap from Amazon gets it delivered with free shipping at a price point that puts local businesses under. And even some large big box stores, because they can't compete. I don't even understand how they're able to do it, frankly. They just have such massive economies of scale. And as Amazon makes more and more and more profits. Jeff Bezos gets to fly around in outer space with his giant space dildo. Like, and I mean, that's what his spaceships are like. They're literally shaped like that. It blows my mind. And then these people, and they are people, they're human beings who have been contributing to their community. You better step back and think about this, folks. How would you feel? And maybe you've been in this position. You work for a company for 5, 10, 15, 20 years. And then you're told, we don't want you anymore. Just get the hell out of here. No severance, no nothing. Just get the hell out. And if you don't get the hell, not just out of this plant, but you get your ass out of this country, we don't even want you here anymore. How would you feel? Or just, you move to a community, you get transferred by some company, you work there for 20 years, and then they fire you, lay you off, and say you don't get any severance, you don't get nothing. And we hate you so much, we want to kick you out of town. Like, that's literally what's going on. That's closer to the truth. So disgusting is it that the people who have been working their asses off are now being accused of eating cats and dogs. And they're human beings. They're people. It's wrong. I've got an interview here. I'm going to go to it, take a short break, come back, feature interview with the operations director at the Haitian Community Support Centre, who explains all of this in much more detail. She's on the ground. She's working with these folks who are being now rounded up. They're being called into these ICE detention centers. They are not criminals. What's happened is that they were given promises by the United States of America. Come here, open arms. It's temporary status, but you come here, you work. Maybe you'll find a path to citizenship. You come here and you work and you do things right. You work hard, you might get ahead. You come here, you contribute, and you'll be treated well. Well, you'll have employment opportunities. Do it the right way, and you might be rewarded. So they came. TPS, temporary protective status. But what's happened is after that promise being made and them coming here and putting in the time and putting in the labor and, contributing, now Trump comes along and says, screw this. We don't like you. They've just stripped the TPS status. They've taken it away. And so now they're illegal. Why are they illegal? Because they stripped them of their status. So they call them in and say, hey, why are you here? We took away your TPS. So here, what you have to do now is we're going to put an ankle tracker on you, a modern day shackle, in my view, my personal opinion. They put a shackle, a modern day shackle, an ankle tracker on these people, which is what you do with a high flight risk criminal who's under house arrest. And they put restrictions on these folks. And they say, or if you don't want that, we'll give you like $2,600 and a plane ticket and get the hell out of here. Go back to Haiti. We don't want you. But there are reasons why some of these people don't want to go back. It's because some of them have been here so long. They've put down roots in the community. They've got families. In some cases, they've like had children who are U.S. citizens born in the United States. This is why Trump and the birthright citizenship thing has been front and center as a big issue, because he doesn't care. He just wants to send them all back. Even if they're American citizens, no, their citizenship doesn't count. They were born here. Who the hell cares? These are kids who are born in the United States, have been maybe going to school in the community for years, don't know anything other than the Star-Spangled Banner. They're Americans. But he doesn't like them. So he wants to turf them. And a lot of other people do too. Maybe because they're bigots, maybe because they're racist, maybe because they don't understand, maybe because they're just watching too many videos on X telling them that the Haitians are eating cats and dogs. Meanwhile, you've got labor shortages developing because the companies are now trying to fill jobs that have been vacated by Haitians who have self-deported. And in other cases, you know, the families are living in fear. They're only staying in the country now because they're trying to get permission to have their status extended. Permission, can I please stay? And so this is now in flux, and at least they're getting some sort of due process, but really they don't really have much in terms of rights. They don't really have any rights, but they're paying taxes. This is the irony, and I bring it up in the interview with Rose in a minute. I mean, what is more ironic than taxation without representation in a country that was founded on exactly that grievance? Talk about hypocritical and unfair. People are people, and around here we give people who have no voice a voice. That's what I'm doing tonight. Again. The vulnerable, the weak, the people being targeted by the rich and the powerful. It's disgusting. I am editorializing. Here's the interview. Rose Tamar Joseph, Ohio, Springfield, Ohio. Director of Operations at the Haitian Community Support Group. Hi, who am I speaking with?
Rose Tamar Joseph.
Very nice to speak with you. I was hoping I might be able to ask a few questions for our newscast this evening to get some clarification on what's happening with these ICE immigration issues in Springfield and Ohio. Could I ask you a few questions about that?
Yeah.
I appreciate it very much. I've found some of the reports coming out of Springfield to be rather disturbing as I'm seeing people fitted with these ankle monitors. Can you explain to me why that's being done?
Honestly, we don't know why, but people in Springfield are receiving calling letters from ICE. So they have to go and check in with ICE. And when they went to those check-in appointments, they put ankle monitors on them. But we really don't know why, because like you said, it is disturbing because a lot of people are getting those ankle monitors, and we don't know what will happen after, because the papers that they give to those people said that they have been arrested, and it is like some type of probation, but we don't know for how long they will have those ankle monitors. Yes. And they have to show up to ICE check-in, and some of them have their court appointment soon after those ICE checking, so we don't really know.
But they haven't really, but these people have not committed any crimes.
No, they are just immigrants. They are peaceful citizens who are working and providing for their family. They are paying taxes, so they are not criminal.
Right. And it's my understanding that a lot of these people have been in the community for a long time, working in places like the Amazon distribution centers, yes, food processing plants.
You're right.
Right?
You're right.
So what kind of impact is this having on the families of the people who are being called into these ICE detention centers?
The impact is so heavy on the community, and even if you don't receive this letter, it is heavy on you because we all know what ankle monitors means, and those people are some of them even cried because they know that they are not criminal, and some of them are asking what they do to be in that situation. So it is so heavy on the whole community because ankle monitors, it seems like slavery.
You know, that's
Especially for us. Especially for us Haitian people. So yeah, it is really, really heavy on us.
yeah, that is, I totally understand. And when I saw the images of the ankle monitors on people, the first thing that came into my mind was this was like a reflection or an echo of the shackles that were used in times of slavery. It's an image of that. Is that something that, I guess that's why, right? It's the history that it makes this even more humiliating for these folks.
Yes, it is. It is. And also we have some young people like 17 years old, 19 years old with ankle monitors. So just imagine those young people going to school with those ankle monitors or going to college with those ankle monitors. This is very, very disturbing and humiliating.
Yes, it makes it's like putting some sort of a mark on people as they move through the community so that they're singled out. I can certainly understand that. It must be incredibly degrading to have to go through that.
Yeah.
So these folks who are being targeted, are they being given options? It's my understanding that they're being offered about $2,000
Yes,
and a plane ticket, or
yes,
they can do this. So if they,
yes. They offer options. So either you go back to Haiti, they will give you $2,600 and a free ticket, or either you get the ankle monitors. But the reality is that they know that Haiti is not ready for people to go back.
I'm sorry,
And a
I
lot
didn't understand. You said Haiti is not what?
ready.
Oh, ready.
Is not ready. Yes, because with all the gangs situation, people are being raped, people are being killed. So a lot of those Haitian people who fled Haiti fled for a reason. So imagine asking someone who has been kidnapped or maybe hurt to go back to Haiti.
Right.
It is not really
Because politically,
it's
the
not the best
situation in
option.
Haiti is still very unstable because of the
Yes,
overthrow of the government, and you don't have a stable government there. You have a lot of gangs controlling large areas, and they're the ones who are really ruling things. Is that right?
yes,
Yeah. So in the case of the people who are being affected by this, some of them have been there 10 years, 20 years, some of them, maybe not as long, but some of these people have now had families and children who have been born in the United States. So this is a complicated issue. How does this
yes,
affect them?
yes. This is complicated because some of those people have been here for, like you said, years, like since 2019, 2018. So they built a life here. Some of them has buy home. Some of them has business here in the U.S. And like you said, kids who were born in the U.S. So it is really a difficult situation for them, and also the choice of living or getting the income monitor is a difficult choice.
Yes. And so the people who are there, I mean, they're not there illegally, which I think is the way some media reports have sort of painted this picture, but that's not an accurate picture at all. They've been allowed to come into the United States. They were given temporary protection status, and it's only under the Trump administration that these designations, the TPS status, was stripped away, leaving them in this position. Is that again an accurate assessment?
Yes. To have to be eligible for temporary protected status, you have to be in the U.S. But those people, when they came to the U.S., they were vet at the border, or they were admitted to the country. So either you came here on a visa or to the humanitarian parole or to the border, you were vet and admitted to the U.S.
It's not, yes, exactly. It's not like these people were trying to sneak into the country illegally across the border to evade.
No, they were vet.
Right.
They were vet. They were admitted to the U.S.
Yes.
So the idea that all those people got to the U.S. illegally is so weird, because you admitted him to the U.S. You gave me a travel document so I can travel from AD to here. You give me parole when I got to the border, so I didn't enter illegally.
Yes.
So maybe we don't know what illegally mean, but illegally, no, it wasn't illegally.
No,
those people were admitted.
Yeah, you were given
to the US.
You're not only given permission to come into the country, but also permission to obtain employment.
To work,
right? Yes.
Yes, to work and everything.
And so that's why so many people went to Ohio, was because as the community was rebuilding after the loss of many factories, they found new businesses to come in, but then they had labor shortages. And so that's why so many people went there, right? To fill the jobs that needed to be filled. So the people who have been working there, they've been what? They've been contributing to the community. They've been paying taxes. They've become an integral part of the community. Is
the community. We help build the economy. And Springfield, I remember when I came to Springfield in 2022, Springfield was like a ghost city.
Mm-hmm.
And we Haitian people, we came and gave life to Springfield.
Yes.
We are working, paying taxes. We are homeowners. We have businesses. We do everything the right way.
Yeah. Yeah. So the people who are being affected, are they receiving any kind of support from organizations on the legal side? Are there lawyers who are advocating for them or helping? Are there support services in place?
Yes, they are receiving support, and so what we are trying to do is get them fill out a motion so they can send to the judges and to ask them maybe to authorize ICE to remove the ankle monitors. So organizations like St. Vincent de Paul, the Haitian Support Centre, and also ABLE are helping them with motion, but we don't know what these requests, if this request will help or if the judge will approve those requests, but we are trying.
Yeah. What happens if they go further than the 75-mile radius from their homes? Does the ankle monitor set off some sort of a an alarm, or what does it do? Do you know?
We don't really know because actually we have only one person who travel with the ankle monitors, but I think they set it up for him because what happened is he was living in Springfield and left Springfield to go to Virginia, and he received the letter.
I see. They followed up and gave him a letter.
And yes, he received the letter. They sent the letter to his old Springfield address. So he came and went to the appointment, and he went with all the proof that he is no longer living in Springfield.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And they put the ankle monitors and give him. I think they give him permission to travel, but they said that he will have to go to his next appointment to a nice facility in Virginia or near Virginia.
So what's your involvement? What position do you have, or how are you helping your community? What organization are you with?
I am with the Haitian Support Centre,
Mm-hmm.
Haitian organization in Springfield. So what we do for them, if they want to go to the checking appointment, because we told them that this is a personal decision. If they don't want to go, we can't force them. But what if for the one who want to go, we provide transportation and also interpretation for them, and we help them after the check-in appointment to fill out the motion so we can send to the judge.
So have many people been going back, or are most people trying to have their permission extended to stay in the United States to continue working and living?
Some people, we talked to some people who said that they want to put this ankle monitor, and they choose to go back to Haiti. Or some of them are trying to get a visa to somewhere else, so Brazil or Chile. But we know that it is not an easy thing to do to get, because if you are here illegally, you won't be able to have a visa, to get a visa to go to another country. So yes, some of them, and those people, the majority of them, they have a pending asylum application. Right. So they will still have the possibility to go to a court appointment to defend their asylum. But this is the only thing they can do.
And if I recall correctly, a lot of the Haitian immigration to the United States really began around 2010 because of the massive earthquake that took place there. And then there have been, a few other waves of people coming in because of the political instability in the country. But in all cases, it's because humanitarian aid and compassion was extended by the United States, welcoming people to come into the country. And now this is happening. So it's obviously very upsetting for people who were otherwise becoming integrated into the community, right?
Yes, it is. Because if the Biden administration is United States, so it feels like the Biden administration welcomed those people, but this current administration said no, they are not welcoming. So it is still the United States. So it is weird that a president or an administration welcome those people, and you say that they were here illegally. This is I don't know.
It
We don't know
confusing,
what to
very
do.
confusing
Yes,
because you're
it
really
is confusing. It is frustrating. It is, yeah.
because even though you're living in the community, working, paying taxes, contributing, you've become part of the community now over decades, and raising families and becoming part of everything, you're still not really given full rights like other
Yes,
U.S. citizens.
it is like um all those um all those good thing that we are doing, they don't really matter.
Yeah.
They don't really matter. We go to school. We did everything right. Imagine someone who came here, who go to school. We have a degree from this, earn a degree from this country, and still you say that no, you are not allowed to stay here or to work here. It is frustrating.
And the irony smacks because this is coming from a country that was built on the idea of, well, people were upset because of taxation with no representation, and that's exactly what's going on here. You have people who are paying their taxes, but not only don't get representation from the government, they're being denied um, an equal voice or status because you don't have the same rights. You don't get to vote. You don't get a say,
Right.
and your rights have been limited to begin with, and now being stripped right away. And you're being treated. I think these people are being treated like criminals when they haven't
Like
committed any
criminals,
crime.
yeah.
Yeah.
With those income monitors, it seems like we are criminals. So those people, they have to drive with those papers from ICE, because if police stop them, they can show to the police to say, okay, I have an income monitor, but I am not a criminal. They have to go to their workplace with those papers to show their boss supervisor that, okay, yes, I have an income monitor, but I am not a criminal. This is really, and we still have people in United States, in the American community, who really don't understand immigration, the immigration process, those immigration things. So imagine you are at a store with an income monitor and people are staring at you because they know that having an income monitor means criminal. So it is really, really heavy emotionally and psychologically. It is heavy on the community.
And the families and the children, and
Yes.
and because you're being sort of singled out in that way, has it resulted in an elevated level of prejudice and even targeting of people from the Haitian community? I'm reading stories that in some cases people from the Haitian community are actually becoming victims of crime.
Yes, we are. Yes, we are. And yeah, well, I don't know, and especially for those parents, I don't know they will find the courage to explain to their kids, because kids nowadays, they read, they knows they know things. Because I have my son, he's in 80. He knows what an ankle monitor means. So imagine, so the kids watching their parents with ankle monitors, or maybe kids can be bullied at school if other kids know that the parents have ankle monitors.
Yes. Yeah.
So this is really big, this ankle monitors situation.
Well, I'm sorry to see that the community is being divided and put through this turmoil. And I I have to say, just I mean, I'm editorializing here, obviously, but I am disturbed by what I'm witnessing from a distance here in Canada. It saddens me, and I'm so grateful to you for sharing the information with us today.
You're welcome.
Blah, blah, blah.
Blah, blah, blah.
Blah, 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 blah.
Blah, blah, blah. Blah, blah, blah. Blah, blah, blah.
Blah, 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 blah.
Blah, blah, blah. Blah, blah, blah.
Maverick News. No blah, blah, blah.
No blah, blah, blah. And let's bring Ian in first. Are you there, Ian?
I'm there.
All right. So thanks for joining me on the program. And I know that you've
It's a privilege.
You've been digging into this a bit. And I think what we'll do is, since we're doing this by phone, we'll maybe make the phones available so that if anybody else wants to call in, they can. Controversial subject, or a hot button issue tonight, immigration. Well, get ready to put the graphic up on the screen. Give me your opening thoughts here, sir, because we've had some conversations about this over the past few weeks in a variety of ways, and this all kind of converging tonight. And it's timely because of these ankle monitors being affixed to these people. I'm just interested in your opening thoughts.
Well, it does remind me of what was going on back in the 18th or 19th centuries, if I should put it this way, because before Civil War and after Civil War at some point, I mean, you know how slavery in the U.S. was a big thing. And, well, yeah, that was basically the staple of the shackles on the ankle. as you said earlier. So yeah, that's my first thought. And what I'm seeing probably also on the street with ICE reminds me probably, unfortunately, of the KKK, maybe.
Yeah, I've said before that immigration, a country has a right to decide who comes in, who isn't allowed to come in, what to do at the borders. To secure borders are part of any government's responsibility. But I always, and I've said in the case of, say, Canada, we've had too much or too quickly. Our communities have not been able to absorb it, to adjust to it. It's been overwhelming to some of our social services, our hospitals, our schools, and so there've been some issues because we've had too much too fast, in my view. Yeah. So it needs to be balanced, done responsibly.
Very true.
However, it also, whatever is going on, we must always handle things in a just way. We must always be careful how we treat people. It isn't just what you do, it is how you do it. And if you want to dial back immigration, a country has a right to do that. And that's an issue that can be explored through the political process. And it's open for discussion. But you need to treat people properly. What I'm seeing going on in Springfield, Ohio, and I am editorializing, this is the call-in portion of the program, I guess, and maybe you'll be our only caller the only one with enough courage to discuss this tonight with me. But,
I dare everyone to call.
But I say, what I have seen going on in Springfield, Ohio, is terrible. They've marginalized a group of people who are extremely sensitive to the issue of slavery because of the long, long history of oppression and being enslaved. And then they come to the United States and they are being affixed now with ankle monitors, trackers, which resemble and really have basically the same modern effect as shackles. It's like having an iron thing around your leg, your ankle, attached to a chain and a ball and chain. It's like you can't go more, so you can only go so far. Don't go too far. But they haven't committed a crime. They're in the country because they had permission to be in the country. They were working in Springfield, Ohio, because they had permission to work in Springfield, Ohio. Some of them have been there for a long time, contributing to the community. Then Trump comes along and this is the thing. It's like a game, right? It's like, we're going to deport all the illegal immigrants. That was the promise. So you take that during a campaign and you're like, okay, yeah, I'm on board. If you've got somebody who's killed someone, if you have somebody who's snuck into the country and is here illegally, yeah, they're illegal. You turf them, right? You get rid of the criminals. You get rid of the bad people, the drug dealers, the rapists. What if you've really got people like that, gang members, fine, turf them, terrorists, whatever. But in this case, what's really going on? It is just a game, because the guy makes the promise during the election, and then the people who are there legally, he turns around and turns them into criminals by stripping them of their status and saying, "See all the criminals? Do you get it?" It's disingenuous. It's a bait and switch. It's a ruse. It's a lie. It's a game. It's not fair. It's not right. It's not just. Now, okay, you want the people, and I can even maybe accept that, all right, they're here on temporary protective status. You want to change that status. You want these people to leave. Okay, all right, maybe that's fine. But to take to treat them like criminals, to put ankle trackers on them when they have committed no crimes, okay, and it's degrading, it's humiliating, And
Very.
it smacks of racism and insensitivity. Maybe, if you are not aware of the optics on that, the impact that has on people psychologically, on communities, the way that it marks people out, it's like putting, a star on somebody's garment.
Yeah.
You're walking around and you're marked to be ridiculed in the community. As Rose told me in the interview, kids going to school who are American citizens in many of these cases now, but they know that their dad or whatever has an anklet, an ankle tracker on. So, you're a second class member of the community. You're living and working and contributing and actually rebuilding Springfield, Ohio. But you don't have any rights. You don't have, or very limited rights. You don't have, you don't have a say. You don't get to vote. You're paying your taxes, and as I say, this is real irony. It's taxation without representation.
Mm-hmm.
You're not there as a tourist. You've just been designated a criminal.
It doesn't respect the 14th Amendment at all.
Do you want to elaborate on that? What do you mean?
In the Constitution, that's where there's, I think, the clause from where you should respect everyone coming in America as coming for the American dream, basically. And that's basically what they're refusing to those people.
Well, the other thing it reminds me of is Josiah Henson. That's Uncle Tom's Cabin. It's the Don settlement, very close to here, because where I live, this community was the end of was the terminus of the Underground Railroad, where fugitive slaves from the United States came to escape slavery here in Canada. Right. Another reason why we should never become the 51st state, because we've always kind of been a place of refuge for people, whether it was then or even during the Vietnam War. But, those are other issues sort of related. But Josiah Henson came here and settled here. But his history, what it reminds me of, is a part of his story. He was a slave, and he also became like a preacher. And was able to earn some money while he was enslaved, and used the money, and was promised that he could then pay his slave owner, pay him for his freedom. So he earned as much as he needed by doing this extra work as a I think I hope that I'm getting the phrase right, a preacher, right, or a pastor. And then when he paid, his slave owner just reneged on the promise, took the money, betrayed him, and then sold him to another slave owner. He finally escaped and got up here to Canada. And if you don't know the story, it's an incredible story of someone fighting for their freedom. And that's what we're all about here too. It is this program, this whole platform. It's about freedom. That's what I'm all about. Freedom, justice for people, regardless, just human beings. And slavery, my God, it's horrific. And so this what I'm seeing going on in Springfield, it just, the underpinnings of it just amplifies the optics even of the prejudice that is still there as an undercurrent within the United States, and it has been amplified within the U.S., certainly since Trump has come back into office, in ways that I didn't believe would actually happen, but it has. And it's happening here in Canada too. And it's honestly, it's terrible. And a lot of it is, one of the reasons it's terrible is because a lot of it is just a bunch of BS. Some of it's true, a lot of it's crap. Because we're living in this post-truth world where people can't tell what's real and what isn't real anymore, because of what's going on online. And people are enraged and divided and The social media platforms are being used to divide people and to anger people, and it's being used as a political tool, really in many respects by both sides. But
just to create an in-group, out-group kind of situation, basically.
Well, scapegoating, right?
Yeah,
because it's the oldest trick in the book. Whether you're looking at this, or whether you're looking at other political movements through time, especially, I mean, the biggest and most glaring example is Nazi Germany, of course, with the Jews and the genocide, right? But it wasn't just Jews; it was others as well. It was gypsies, and it was communists, and it was labor unions, trade unionists. It starts with one group and then bleeds off to another and another, and it is a lot, and it is a bloody trail that this kind of thing leaves in its wake. And the thing is, with the other reason it just it touches a nerve with me is because these people are being exploited on many levels, and maybe not so much exploited by say Amazon, but a lot of people want them in the country because they want the big corporations want them because they provide they lead to lower wages, increases the labor supply. They can charge more supply means lower
you can
prices.
add whatever,
right?
Yeah,
it becomes an employer's market,
price.
not a worker's market. And they needed the workers in Springfield. For all these new jobs that were being brought to the community, not just through Amazon, but other factories and food processing plants, I think, and other investments that came to town. And so they needed the work. They needed the workers. They had a vacuum there because so many people had left. They filled the void. They built the community. Now they're being told, get the hell out. Why? Well, I think it's not too hard to figure out why.
No, it's not. I will tell you that basically what they're trying to do is to create a revolt of the class, and that's what it is.
Mm-hmm. Wow. So with that,
and it's part of the scapegoating. Scapegoating actually is part of all the system, because if you start to scapegoat someone, now you got many, say, enclave of ideas and ideal that start to pop around. And this is where you got the in-camp or clan of ideology that you have.
And
so that's how it works.
Yeah, and the politician, in this case, Trump, and he is a politician, a guy who got elected saying, I'm not a politician. Yeah, he is. He's the consummate politician, the ultimate politician who lies as a matter of routine. If he opens his mouth like a politician, it's probably a lie. 98% of the time, it's a lie. He's told people that, and this is always a lie. You get rid of all those people, they're your problem, and then your problems will all be solved. The unemployment problem solved. Your problem with social programs solved. It's not really true. I can understand the culture shock, right? And those are real issues, and you can have those discussions. But if you think for 1 minute that just deporting all the Haitians is going to solve the problems in Springfield or the United States, you got another thing coming. In fact, it's creating new problems because now you have labor disruption again, because a lot of these people are being forced to leave the community. And the ones who aren't leaving, it's because they've got roots down. They've got families. They've got kids. They've got other reasons they might want to stay. It's just, it doesn't solve your problem by blaming it on other people. It really just, it doesn't.
Well, basically, it's going to condemn probably the country or the state to collapse economically and sociologically.
I was watching a video today, Ian, of a guy from Minnesota. He manufactures machinery, like snowplows and heavy machinery. Has a sort of a mid-sized, small company producing this stuff. And he has his own little channel. I'd never seen him before, but he gave an assessment of the economy from a small business person's perspective. And it's like I've been saying for a long time now, the stock market might be doing well, but for the average person and for small and medium-sized businesses, for people on the ground, for workers, for small business owners, the economy is not doing well. The tariffs have increased inflation immensely. It's created a lot more chaos within the economy, even in the United States. He was talking about it. He doesn't even know if his business is going to survive. And that's because of Trump's economic policies. If all the things that Trump had promised were actually true, he would be doing much better. But as a stock market that is being rigged to go up and down, and Trump is rigging it, there's no question about that, often just through his social media posts, and that has an impact on the markets. If the things he had promised were true, that guy would be doing much better. And during Trump 1.0, a lot of businesses, including even tool and die shops here locally, were doing better because there was deregulation that was happening. He was cutting a lot of red tape. He was opening, the path to more oil and gas production. Those things were very true in the first portion of Trump 1.0. But what's going on now with these tariffs, the worldwide tariff war, it's hurting people in the United States. It's crippling the U.S. economy. That's why they lost jobs last month. Canada gained jobs, 75,000. They lost about 28,000. Their economy 10 times larger than Canada's, and they lost jobs. And then he's sitting there telling everybody that the U.S. economy is going gangbusters and attributing some of that because of his immigration policies, deporting people. It is not having a positive effect on the economy. It's having a negative effect on the economy. It's shrinking the economy. A shrinking economy is not a growing economy. It's not a good economy. No. It's not a job-producing economy. It sucks jobs away.
It's an inflating economy.
It's reducing economic activity. You're taking productivity out of the country. You're reducing GDP. If you have more people producing more things, you've got more GDP. When they go to work, you're generally producing more value than you are actually, like more than the sum of you, right? You're producing more so that the company makes a profit. You get your wage, they get the profit, the whole economy benefits. You take these people out of the equation, you deport all these people, all their productive capacity, including, frankly, the taxes that they've been paying, will just vaporize. They're gonzo, okay? Like, no more taxes from them. They contribute to the tax base. That money, those taxes contributed to rebuilding Springfield, Ohio after the economic collapse. You need a strong tax base. I think they've got about 12,000 people or so who had moved to the community. You take 12,000 people out of a community of about 70,000. That's a real bite, man. And these are the people who have been, look, they're the ones who go to work every day so that other people can order their crap off Amazon and get it delivered to their door with free shipping, cheap. Okay? They're the ones who make that possible. All the people working in that plant. Not all of them are from Haiti. A lot of other people too. But you go to the supermarket, you get food for what you get it for. It's because you've got migrant farm workers working in the fields. And it goes on around here all the time. Temporary farm work. Everybody's upset about that for forever. That's what's gone on. In the view of some people, it's almost like modern day slavery, because a lot of those people are frankly working for below minimum wage at back-breaking work, and they're out there, harvesting crops and planting. And, I watched them when they're harvesting asparagus here, riding along in the back of the tractor thing where they're like, it's manual labor. It's hard, backbreaking work, man. Or you go out in tomato season. I see them out there and harvesting cucumbers and you name it. So they absolutely contribute. And because they bring those workers in and they work for such low wages, we go to the supermarket and I can buy a 10-pound bag of potatoes sometimes on sale for $1.99. Other times it's like $4.99. But when you think about all of the labor and everything and the energy and the inputs that go into it, my God, it blows your mind how efficient the food production system really is when you really think about it. Even though we complain because inflation makes groceries more expensive and things have gone up too much, like about 20-30%, like too much. But that's because of the whole other those are fiscal reasons. But I digress. The point is, it's how you do it. And I'm appalled to see them putting these ankle trackers on people who have not committed crimes. It's me too. In my view, it's dehumanizing, and that's a big part of the point. It's like they're trying to make it uncomfortable for people to stay. They're encouraging them to leave. And I'm not so sure it's wise. If people are here, man, and they're breaking laws or they're causing problems, I say, yeah, turf them. But if they're here and they're working and contributing and paying taxes and they've been here for a while and they've been doing it the right way and they've now got, roots put down and they've helped to rebuild their community, I don't know. It's like a broken promise. It's just like Josiah Henson and his slave owners saying, oh, yeah, you earn all that money and you pay me and you can buy your freedom. And then just going back on the deal. It just seems like it's a bad deal again. And these folks, just the latest to be oppressed by a system that doesn't really appreciate them. No wonder they get pissed.
I got a question for you.
Yeah.
Probably a sidebar, but have you seen the movie Django Unchained?
No, I don't think so.
All right. Because there's a scene where Leonardo DiCaprio makes two slaves, fight each others. And basically it was basically sort of, wrestling basically. And it's just the fun of looking at them and say, look, if you win this fight, you're going to have your freedom. Or you need to win few other fights. I mean, it's not just this one, but look, after a few, I'm going to give you freedom, bro. Sure. Okay. How does that work? I don't know, but yeah.
Yeah. It's the thing is, it's like, well, we don't have anything to do with Haiti. It's not our problem. Yeah, it is. Damn right it is. The United States has had its tentacles into Haiti. They controlled the country for a while. They've got a history there of oppression, of oppressing the people. And they've got a long history of slavery, which even today is still not really fully resolved within the country. It's a problem. As a naive Kanakistanian up here, when I was young, I was shielded from a lot of that stuff. I didn't ever realize the depth of it, the racism, and the hatred. I was aware, certainly in the 70s, it was somewhat pronounced as I was a kid here in Canada, but never as bad or as deep as it was in the U.S. That's why this was the terminus of the Underground Railroad. This is where people came to find freedom. To escape slavery, and the Harper's Ferry raid planned here in this town. A lot of history here regarding slavery. I'm not an expert on the subject, but I'm aware of what went on. I'm aware of the history. Maybe I'm more sensitive to it than a lot of other people because I live here. Didn't grow up here, but didn't grow up far from. I'm aware of all of the stories, the history, and it's gross. And Canada was the beacon of hope. Canada was the destination of freedom. We were the freedom destination, man. And that's the other thing. Oh, I forgot it. Like, actually, I think this is a quote from Josiah Henson. He said, when he got across, I think he got on a ship to get across, I think it was in Niagara. And anyway, to get to the other side, to get away from the enslaved South. So he gets up here to Canada, takes this steamboat, and he tells the captain, he says, I promise, because he smuggles him across, hides him. And he says, I promise I will use my freedom well. Now there are words to live by, Mavericks. I will use my freedom well. Mm-hmm. And he did. He worked to free other slaves. He eventually went back to the South and helped to free well over 120 slaves himself and bring them up to Canada. And that's why today we have the Buxton settlement, we have the Don settlement, we have Buxton, I'm very familiar with, and the community out there still there today. And the history there and the quality of the people that community has produced and the way that they've enriched the country, doctors and teachers and lawyers and and all of that achieved in the face of extreme prejudice and oppression. Even here in Canada, there was plenty of it up here in Canada, even though they found freedom in the face of all of it. So I'm proud of my country because of our history, not in the sense that we don't have problems and didn't have problems. We did, but I'm proud to say that I live here in a place that was committed to freedom even back then in the face of the most horrific kind of oppression, slavery.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So I am sensitive to what I'm seeing there in Springfield, the smearing, the othering, the lies, the eating the cats and the dogs, and this crap coming directly from the president of the United States, who I don't know, he must have believed it, I guess, but because it came from him, it has credibility. People give it weight. They think it's true. Exactly. He's either nuts or he's a freaking liar or he's an idiot who believes the crap that he just sees online and takes it as gospel. Like, I don't know, man. But anyway, you slice it, it's not true. It wasn't true. And these people are paying the price. How would you like it if people said that your family eats cats and dogs and spread that all over the internet so that the whole world thinks that your family eats cats and dogs? You're dog eaters.
I would be pissed off.
And wouldn't you be pissed off if somebody knocked on your door, took you and put shackles on you and said, now you're going to work for free and, you're a slave? Like, I'd be pissed. I'd fight. Oh,
me too. I wouldn't be probably here talking to you because I would probably be fighting the system to a certain degree or finding a way to get my rights.
And not to say that, that's what's going on in Springfield to that degree, but I talked to people who lost their jobs during the pandemic, right? After having long careers. And, oh, you're not going to get the jab, then you're out of here. And devastating, wrong, absolutely unjust. Well, how is this different? How would you feel? Like, you come here, you put in 20 years working, that's a lifetime. Right?
Yeah.
And you're doing everything right, and then along comes a new president and he says, no, we just don't like people like you. So, nope, you got to leave. I guess that's the deal, right? Because you're not a citizen. So, okay. But at the same time, really? Does that seem right? No pension for you.
No.
Why? Because even today, let's face it, a lot of people look at these folks and they think that they're not as good, that they're not they're not worthy of full citizenship, that they don't deserve rights, just like women couldn't vote before because they were considered chattel, right? Just like,
Yep.
don't tell
It's remind me something.
Yeah.
In Costa Rica, I think. No, not Costa Rica. Sorry. Well, there's 3 states. I think they don't even have the same right than the other states. Actually, the voting rights are completely different for them. I got to look it up, but yeah, it's the same analogy here.
Yeah. Like I'll say this, at least the Trump administration is offering them some money and a plane ticket, okay? But if you have kids and they are US citizens, now you've got a really tough choice. Do you leave your kids behind? Who do you leave them with? Do I take this money, get on the plane and leave my kids here? Or do I take them with me? And if I do take them with me, it's true. A lot of the areas of Haiti right now are controlled by gangs, and there is real serious violence down there. A lot of children exploited, abused in ways that, it just doesn't happen here in the same way. It's brutal. It's brutal down there. Mitch Albom from WJR Radio, Detroit. He's been going, I just thought of it. He's been going to Haiti and doing some humanitarian work down there. I'd forgotten about that. He's been doing that for a few years, bringing kids back to rescue them. So that's been going on for a while. But while he's doing that, Trump's trying to get rid of every last one of them. I struggle with this, man. I understand the immigration issues. I understand the pressures. I understand how some people try to get in, on a ruse, or they, some people do abuse the system, and they try to just live off welfare or whatever. But that's not the case here. These are not people living in hotels and collecting welfare checks. Largely, this is.
No, they're trying to have a life and, contribute to the society as we all do.
And they have, helped rebuild that community. So
they came also for the American dream. I think that's what it is.
Well, for sure. And largely it looks like they've been living up to it. And I think that those are the kind of people that I would want in my community. People who will go to work and produce and contribute. And it's also true that in a lot of cases, while they're being accused of being rapists and criminals and thieves and whatever, and this rhetoric, that the truth of the matter is, if you go and you look up the stats, and the real truth of the matter is quite often they're being targeted and victimized themselves because they've been othered, just like the Jews were. And so in that community, especially with all this amplified rhetoric that we're seeing online, they're being targeted. And they've been victims of abuse and violence and theft, assaults. That's all true too.
Racist profiling in police force has always been, I would say, a cultural thing in the U.S.
I don't think it's the police doing it, though, Ian. I think, from what I'm seeing, it's like criminals going after them. It's other people going after them, robbing them, assaulting them on the streets. It's things like that. And a lot of it is being fueled by what's going on online. Get out of here, you dirty whatever. And, in beating people up. Just, and I've seen it too through the years, not so much today, but, I remember back in the day, especially in the past, when gay people were just beaten up. People would make jokes about going out to bars or going out to here or there or wherever just to go and beat up some gay people. That was a real thing, especially I remember it in the 80s and even the 90s.
Yeah.
And the 70s. And it's diminished since then, but oh my God. It's true. It's true.
Yeah, systematic problem like that aren't just one race or one culture. Every culture has their bad apples. So, and
Anyway,
by the
so-
way, just to make a little squirt on my mistake of earlier, Hawaii, Vermont, Texas, and California are those who have, well, you can look it up, but there's some stuff that they're not all the same laws or the same rights upon those states in America.
So I know you wanted to come on and discuss this tonight because you've been digging into some various things related to this. So I'm not exactly sure where you've been going with it all, but what did you want to highlight with regard to what you've been looking into?
Well, I was looking into actually the systematic problem or racism in America in general as a social standpoint, and the way that it was used during 200 years, basically, even to 250 years. And it's quite alarming to see how this has evolved during ages, if I can put it this way, because, well, we can go back to even the first and second resurgence of the KKK or the Ku Klux Klan that was pretty harsh, I would say. It was it was violent back then. So
yeah, cross burnings and lynchings. Yeah, that's how brutal it was.
And scapegoating a lot.
Yeah,
definitely. And how it worked. I mean, the fact that people were mimicking themselves, if I can put it this way, which will tie, mimicking as some things that, for example, if you deeply are a racist, okay, and people around you tells you that, oh, I'm racist, I like to do bad things to other culture and so on. Normally in a social place, you wouldn't say that toward, in a social kind of place. Although if you are online and you got anonymous, that's easy for you to put out there, like there's no accountability because nobody knows you. And what was happening during the KKK, well, everyone had a blanket on their head, right? So that was tearing up their hood. The hood.
Yeah.
So the hood was basically your anonymous or your mask to keep your anonymity. So that was a way to give yourself a permission to do bad things, right?
Isn't it interesting that the ICE agents today wear masks?
Isn't it interesting?
Yeah. The irony.
Why did I made a analogy earlier about KKK and ICE? Basically, that's it. You just made the point.
One of the most important things about proper law enforcement is that you're able to identify an officer, so that if they abuse their power, they can be held accountable. But if you have a bunch of police officers or whatever they are, Praetorian Guard, whatever, running around with masks on, how do you even know if it's actually a police officer? Like, you don't know.
If you're a police officer and you do wrong, or I think that you're going overboard with your power, I can ask you, what's your matricule, what's your number, and I want to know your name so I can report.
Yeah, it's just okay. Some people are okay with this. I'm not. I don't want any part of it, because I think when the history is written into the history books and we look back on this time, it will be seen as a very dark time indeed.
Yes. And I fear for humanity that they won't come back from that. Although I'm probably fearful for no good reason, because there's always some bounce back. Because humanity always revert to, no, this part was so dark that I don't want to go back to that. What happened during World War II, right? People were disappointed of themselves for those who did bad things and lived to tell to say so. And for the others, well, they were afraid of doing the same thing. So for probably 80 years, things were Well, say relatively peaceful, but yeah.
So let's take a
Those
short
are the
break. I know
cycle.
you've been digging into some other stuff that you want to talk about, sort of related to this, that I think will segue into the next portion of the program. So we'll take a short break, come back on the other side, and I'm sure that people are hating my guts right now. Some, so I'll bring you one of my number one fans from the Rick Walker Haters Club. Here we go. Love bomb.
Next message. Shame on you, Rick Walker. Shame on you, you of all people. Shame on you, Rick Walker. Shame on you. Shame on you, Rick Walker. Shame on you. 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 Shame on you.
The number you have reached is not in service.
And this certainly has to be the most historic telephone call ever made. Ever made.
I'm absolutely disgusted what you did on Saturday night. You're a liberal piece of shit. Shame on you. Shame on you. You're a disgusting individual.
Hello?
Just remember, Rick, you're the one that did to the ostrich farm. You never got off your ass when I was there.
And as you talk to us for one priceless moment in the whole history of man, all the people on this earth are truly one.
The taboo man that you are.
362015.
You're a liberal piece of shit.
This is a record. This is a record.
I don't know. Your show is absolutely disgusting. You should get some help because you have really severe TPS as well. I don't know what's wrong with you. I don't know what's wrong with you. You have really severe TPS.
For every American, this has to be the proudest day of our lives.
Your show is strictly war and Trump.
Happening through, waiting.
TPS. Your show is absolutely disgusting. Just disgusting.
Okay, thank you.
You should be shut down. Just disgusting.
The number you have reached is not in service. This is a recording.
I love my haters. That's not fabricated. That's a real thing. That's a real thing around here. That's just one of many.
I don't want to say a bad thing, but there's some sadism into loving to hear people hating us, but in a good way.
It's just, yeah, there it is. Anyway, so okay, so you've been digging into some stuff, and you kind of I have to say, the thing you sent me today, just before we came on air, it ties into another discussion that I actually initiated through email with one of my favorite people. and it deals with well, you want to talk about this, what was it? How can I frame this? This is about zeros and ones to me, but what was it that you were getting into? Do you know what I'm talking about? Because you just sent it to me before.
Hold on.
Email.
There's so many things that I've
the
sent
Palantir
to you.
thing.
Palantir. Yes. So people's gonna like this. So everyone loves Palantir so much around here, and I say that sarcastically because we all hate it. No, the thing is that Palantir is attached to Peter Thiel, and Peter Thiel is attached actually to the men that I did mention earlier, René Girard, which is a Stanford University teacher in philosophy, and it came out with the philosophy of mimetism, which is basically everyone desire what others want.
Okay.
And that comes through social media and what people, will secretly tell themselves, as I said earlier, through your anonymous persona on social media, you will, say any evil thing or any bad things that you desire, which people will validate or not. But once you feel validated, because you also desire the same thing that this other person, well, now you can kind of feel more emboldened to say those things also. So that's how the trends sort of start from a sociological point of view. And you got a lot of people now being pretty much open, saying I'm a racist, or I'm part of a group of people that loves to hate others, and so on. So we have basically all that in social media, live chats in particulars, and so on. So social media is a very bad place to be nowadays.
Okay, so to try to make sense of this,
Mhm.
so you're talking about, what was this guy's name?
Peter Thiel.
Yeah, but the philosopher, whatever,
Philosopher René Girard, or
Right.
Girard.
and then his teachings
Mhm.
are related to, well, I think in this case you're trying to say that because his philosophy or his work suggests that it's creating envy, essentially, right?
Yeah.
That's what it is.
We can put it this way. Yeah.
His work was that, and this is what Peter Thiel embraced, if I understand right. I'm just taking this from you, and I know that Peter Thiel wrote a book, and I haven't read it. So when you're sending this to me, this is crazy that you're actually sending this to me tonight, because it ties into everything related to binary code, like computer code, zeros and ones. He wrote a book called 021. And I think that, what you're doing here is, I think you're kind of leaping a little bit or stretching the interpretation of that work to kind of make it fit into this discussion. It's sort of loosely related, because what you're talking about is, I think, scapegoating, right? Because I can't remember the guy's name. I haven't read him.
René Girard
or something,
or Girard.
Girard. Okay, so I know that Thiel was a student of his, right? Isn't that right?
Yeah,
and
he was a student of his.
His ideas were that people mimic other people, and that we want things because other people have them, not just because we desire them. We would desire them otherwise, but we want them because other people have them. And so this creates a social dynamic where, and I haven't read this stuff, so I might be getting it a bit wrong, but I think he's talking about it creating a social dynamic where not only, like, many people will want something because somebody has it. So if Joe down the street has a Cadillac, a lot of people on the street will want a Cadillac to keep up with the Joneses, if you want to look at it like that.
Very true. Yeah.
And it creates competition among people. This is, another way of looking at the, I think even economics, but specifically here for Peter Thiel, it's a way of him framing his way of looking at competition as an entrepreneur. And so for him, this concept of competition based on envy, I think, and I don't know if that's actually a word that was used by his teacher in this case, but that's the way I kind of look at what he's got going on here. But when you get this group competition going after limited resources, if everybody wants Cadillacs and there aren't enough Cadillacs to go around, this is where I think you're making the stretch or the leaping of connecting dots. We are saying, well, this is the same as prejudice, or this is where prejudice comes in because the group will other someone or a group of people and say that they're the problem. This is why I can't get my Cadillac. Is that about
exactly
kind of right? Yeah.
Right. And then you're scapegoating for example, I can use an example here. In Canada, we have so much immigrant, right? That is exacerbating on our healthcare system, on our welfare and so on. So people will scapegoat the other culture on that direction. Yeah. And also it can go even further than that. I mean, if you look at the culture in America, it can also reverberate into your own backyard because now Canadian will mimic the desires of the culture of the American.
Yeah, except I think that you're kind of overlaying a misinterpretation of what that work is really about, honestly, to be frank with you, Ian. It's like, because what really I think that work illustrates for someone like Peter Thiel and others who are the followers of his, and I keep forgetting his name. What's the guy's name? I can't pronounce it. I keep calling him a Gibraltar, but it's Girard, right?
Oh, yeah, Girard.
Yeah.
Girard, Girard.
Yeah, so I know Girard. A little bit about it because I've heard discussions on this, and I know J.D. Vance also, because of Peter Thiel, has been introduced to this way of thinking, but it's not really something that I would say is directly related to, say, prejudice or racism. It's more about, in my view, and I haven't read it, but it seems like it's more envy based. And because and what Peter Thiel takes from this as an entrepreneur and an oligarch tech dude is that there's also, it's called mimicking, right? Or what's the phrase? Mimetism. No, I don't think that's the right word.
Yeah, it's mimic. It's mimetic.
Yeah, can you spell it for me?
Yeah, it's M-I-M-E-T-I-C. Mimetic theory.
Mimetic, right?
Yeah,
which reminds me of like a mimeograph. It's like it's about reproducing something, right? Except that the reason I think he called his book 0 to 1 is because see, this is what ties into my correspondence with one of my favorite people in the whole world. We've been talking about a lot of, what's finite, what's infinite, what's the meaning of life, and it really comes down to zeros and ones. And I sent a note the other night to my friend, and I said, why is computer code written in zeros and ones? Well, if you look at what Peter Thiel, the way he looks at things, ironically, because you're sending me this afternoon, and it's like Peter Thiel has this book 0 to 1. The reason is, for him, he's of the mind, and I think rightly so, that there are two kinds of creation for an entrepreneur. There's creating something from nothing, a brand new invention.
Okay.
And then there's copying ideas and or improving upon them. And so 0 to 1 is like an expression of starting with absolutely nothing, like nothing, and you just come up with the idea or the product or service or whatever it is, and you create it from like literally nothing. There was nothing like it ever before, and you created the very first like automobile. or you are the first to create artificial intelligence. So that goes from 0, where you've got nothing, and now you have one original, the first one, an actual thing, from concept, just an idea, which was not an idea until it came up in your brain, and then you've taken that and created it. 0, nothing,
the conception
to 1,
of the idea,
something, right?
Yeah, the conception of the idea, like the birth of a person.
Right.
It comes from almost nothing, but then
no, that's not quite it. No, that's not a 0 to 1. But anyway, that's more of a 1 to an N, because a 1 to N is, and the N could be an expression of any number, but it's just representative of an improvement, or a copy of, a mimeograph, a photocopy, or a new expression of. So you've got a Cadillac, and then somebody creates a Lincoln, and then somebody creates an AMC Pacer or a Ford Pinto, right? So now you get all these other creations, but they're kind of new versions or even straight up copies of the first one. And so that's not 0 to 1, because you're starting with something already. You've got 1, and then you are creating something based on that. So Teal is saying, as an entrepreneur, what you need to do if you really want to get on the ground floor and really build something of huge value is you have to be the first. You have to be original. You got to be the OG of whatever it is. Okay. So that's what the concept is. Are you getting me?
I'm getting you.
Okay. So here's where it comes around to a much larger thought. Okay. Much bigger thought. Everything is 0s and 1s. Everything. Why is computer code written in 0s and 1s? Because everything is based on either nothing or something. And because the whole universe at all times is in balance, yin and yang, black and white, hot and cold, male and female. It's, if there's one thing, you have to have the other. One can't exist unless you have the other. You can't have good unless you have evil. Why? Because you would not even know what good is unless you know what evil is. One is necessary in order to have the other. There can't be nothing because there is everything. You can't have everything unless there's nothing. You can't even appreciate. This is also an economic concept. You can't appreciate or value. You can't have value of anything. You can't value a thing unless you have scarcity. That's why you wouldn't value freedom unless you had slavery. You wouldn't value life unless you had death. You see, if you had everlasting life, if you were immortal, if these transhumanists are successful in making human life continue forever, if they get to live forever, their life won't be worth spit. It won't be worth a thing. Because what's a day worth if you have an infinite supply of them? This is why the universe is in balance. This is why in the beginning there was nothing. And then God said, let there be light. Because from the darkness, there has to be light. But you can't have light unless there's darkness. Are you starting to understand? So why is computer code written in 0s and 1s? And this is why I know that we are real, Ian. It's because all computer code is it's a way for humans to sort of try to express something that we know to be true and observable. It's our way of mimicking what is around us. It's a way of sort of taking a photograph to record it and say, look at this. But the photograph is not what it is an image of. The photograph is just a photograph. It's a piece of paper with an emulsion, chemical reaction. It reacts to the light and it creates an image that is a representation of what it was. So people have this need, because we do have agency, because we do have free will, and because we are intelligent and we are conscious as individuals, we want to express to other people what we see and experience. And so we say, you know, you can think of it like this. And we're so smart and so innovative that we're actually able to mimic the things around us and create images of by drawing on a cave wall or taking a photograph, or even mimic the universe itself in some ways, or our world anyway, or elements of our world in a digital sense with a series of zeros and ones, where a zero is nothing and a one is everything. The first ones, 0 and 1. The beauty of all of this is that while everything is zeros and ones, and it seems very simple and too simple to actually be anything, the reality is, as soon as you have a 0 and a 1, you have infinity. Why is that? Because everything is zeros and ones. Everything arranged as zeros and ones in a digital concept within, which is just a concept. It's not real. It's in a matrix, a computer hard drive. That's the simulation. It's human beings expressing themselves, saying, you can think of the universe kind of like this, as a bunch of zeros and ones. They're not recreating the universe. It's a representation of the universe within first a Commodore 64 and an asteroids video game, right? And and until today, you get up to, Sega, and then, and now your cell phones and 5G and the internet and AI. When it comes right down to it, it's all still just, it really literally is just zeros and ones, binary code. But it's a combination of all of those things in between, an infinite number of combinations of zeros and ones that make up whatever it is that we create within that simulation. But it's human beings doing that. It is 0. It could be 0, 0, 0, 0, 0, 0, 0, 1, 1, 1. And then it just starts to extrapolate beyond there into an infinite combination of zeros and ones. It's not just 0 and 1. It's any combination at any time, whatever we create. But if you arrange them in just the right way, now you can write very complex computer code to create video games and videos and memes and
language,
graphic language. And now, see, we're so arrogant as human beings, as we always are when we discover some new technology, whether it's the light bulb or the automobile, and we think we're just the cat's meow just because we figure something out, or a nuclear bomb, right? Well, we think at the time that this is the pinnacle. This is it. Now we've got these arrogant tards, the tech bros, who think that they've discovered the pathway to being a god or something, because they've discovered AI. It's just a series of zeros and ones, ladies and gentlemen. That's all it is. It's just that they figured out a new way to arrange them in new ways and use the zeros and ones so that it mimics thinking. It's not really thinking. It's not really a human. And it's sure as hell no place that I want to get jacked into as a real living being and actually get physically or digitally connected through my neurosystem to it in a way that it might actually be able to control my actual biological neurosystem, because it uses electrical impulses, but I'm not just a bunch of zeros and ones. I do not want to go in there, because that's the black hole. That's the trap. And here's the thing. I know that that's the trap because I'm not a Commodore 64. When I go out and I walk around in the real world, it's real. I know it's real because I'm conscious. I think, therefore I am. And I know that, but at the same time, it is, in a way, zeros and ones, but it isn't just zeros and ones. It's far more complex than that. All the matrix is a human representation, expression of that. It's a way for people to say, hey, this is, you can think of the world or the universe as a simulation, as a thing. We're just living in a simulation. See, it's just like a video game. And people are literally saying that online and in videos now, and because they don't really understand. And that's the truth. The pundits, the people, the social media people who are going after all the clicks, they don't really freaking know. But it's great clickbait, and they can build whole channels and even communities based on this hubris.
Yeah.
But they don't know that we're 50 years from now, people are going to be looking back on this time as though we're in the Stone Ages, and they're going to laugh, just like we laugh when we look at the crazy tards in the video that I've made where they're early flying machines that didn't fly, and they jump off a cliff and crash and kill themselves because the wings they were trying to flap with their arms just wouldn't keep them airborne. You know, and it doesn't take long to progress to the next thing. This is all that's going on. It's just zeros and ones. And this is why it's so risky, though, because we have reached a point where we have simulated thought with these machines, these computers, that we're almost like, it looks like we're ready to give them agency, to give them rights legally.
Yeah, because they learn
as persons, which is
because they learn from us.
This ties
also
into our discussion tonight, Ian, where this is also disgusting. Because we've talked about abortion within the last week, where the security of the person is weighed, which would be the rights of the mother, right? To whether she has an abortion or not, versus and her status as a person, because she's already born and living. So she has legal status as a human being, right? As a person under law, Canadian law. I won't get into the US side of it. Or the fetus, which is not born yet, and therefore under Canadian law, because of Supreme Court rulings going back to like the 80s, I guess, with Morgentaler, which I mentioned, the fetus doesn't have rights or status as a person, and therefore the security of the person, the mother, overrides the rights of the fetus, because the fetus doesn't have any rights until it's actually born and is a breathing human being, self-sustaining outside the womb. But here's the point. We are now on the cusp, and some countries, especially Argentina, taking the first step toward this, of giving actual legal rights as persons to AI agents, where we would deny that to a fetus in the womb, which is a whole controversial thing unto itself. And when I'm looking at what's going on in Springfield, Ohio, we're ready to give rights to AI agents, which aren't even real. They're not organic. They're not really living. They're just zeros and ones. But we seem to be ready to give agency and actual legal rights to those AI agents before we would even give any level of agency to some people who have contributed to their communities and have been paying taxes, and we're gonna deport them, just because, well, you know why,
right?
Not because they broke the law, not because they didn't pay taxes, not because they're freeloaders, and because they don't work and they're lazy. Like, what did they do wrong after 10 or, like, you see what I'm saying? But the AI agent comes along and suddenly it has value. And you know why? Because the people use it, because actually the AI agent is technically sort of smarter than your average human being. So it has extreme value to the human that owns it and controls it, which is already sort of enslaving it. But we're already willing to give the AI agent legal status because of its intelligence, which is fake. But the
which
human
brings
being,
back
no.
to slavery, which back then, slave were just, idiots or whatever, they were just,
right.
less than us,
Right.
less than human.
Yes. And you want to keep them dumb. You don't want to educate them if you've got a slave. You don't want them to
Mhm.
know too much, right? You don't want them to aspire to very much. You want them to believe that they're less than human, that they don't have rights, that they're of a substandard, right? Of course, that's
Mhm.
what's gone on.
Going
in the
back to
past.
the fetus still like a non-person yet.
Yes, they treat it like a non-person.
So still treated like, kind of, non-person.
And yet
so
we know
less than one person.
And this is the controversial part about the abortions, right? Is when you get to like late stage abortions, 20 weeks plus whatever, sometimes those fetuses could survive outside the womb, even if they had an induced birth that didn't kill the fetus. But in order to remain in compliance with the law, we know what's really going on. And it's that those fetuses are being terminated inside the womb when they could have been a viable human being, a person outside the womb, but they're terminated inside the womb to remain on the right side of the law. And then the birth is induced so that you get a stillbirth. And that's why when Michael, I think, was it Michael or Joseph? I think Michael brought it up the other night that the designation on the medical documents is that it was a stillbirth, and that's being used for political purposes. And I pointed out that that's true. It does get recorded on there, but it also says it was an induced stillbirth, which tells you exactly what it was. It was an abortion. So it's not that the government tries to hide it. It's a legal thing that people are maybe not really aware of, and they will horrify a lot of people. And I totally understand. Wow, is that controversial or what? But
there's another layer legally, I believe, and stop me if I'm wrong on this one, but I think, and I'm not sure, but there's another portion of it is that, for example, a woman would give birth prematurely to a infant, which would survive into into the incubator, basically. That also has a certain how you call that? They have a code for that, basically, on paper. So I think this is why there's legal difference of terminology to differentiate those things, I think.
You mean, yeah, it's born and it is alive, and then you're saying that they kill the baby outside the womb, right? That's what you're trying to say in a polite way. Yeah.
That's it.
I think that
Euphemism,
does go on. But I'll tell you this. I'll tell you, that's murder, and that is against the law. That's why it's supposed to be done in the way that I described it. That's the way it goes down on the paperwork. I don't know how often, if at all, that actually happens the other way around. I think we've seen testimony from nurses who have indicated that there have been occasions where that has happened. And if that happens, that's murder, in my view, because it's a viable human being at that point. You do not do that. I don't even want to talk about the other stuff because, wow. Anyway, zeros and ones, back to that. So you see how everything is kind of zeros and ones. Well, here's how it's zeros and ones in the real world. It isn't really just zeros and ones, but when I go out and I touch a tree, that tree is me, and I'm the tree. And Ian, I'm you, and I'm one with everything, but I'm also just one. Because every molecule, every proton is individualized, and human beings have a way of a skill of kind of organizing things, but so too does nature. And so I could not create from nothing wood, but wood exists. I can touch a tree. There's lumber from trees. Trees grow. Where did trees come from? I didn't create trees. I didn't create soil. If there was nothing, no hydrogen, no nothing, I couldn't just create water. No oxygen, no hydrogen. I couldn't create it. I can make it if I have hydrogen and oxygen, but I have to have something to start with. So things exist. There is reality around me, but these things are arranged. When I die, my body goes back into the earth. It decomposes. It becomes part of the earth again. It nourishes the plants, and the plants nourish the animals. It becomes part of the whole system. It becomes one with everything again, but not just one. It becomes part of the one. I'm part of the one now, but I'm also the one. You see,
Right.
It's all a bunch of zeros and ones. Every molecule, every proton is a 0 or a 1. It's how it's arranged to create. And when I say a 0 or a 1, that's just me as a human, a stupid human being trying to figure out some way to express this idea, just to make sense of all of this complexity around me, the real matrix, the natural matrix around me, and say, look, it's just a bunch of zeros and ones. It's a simulation. Well, it's not a simulation. It's reality. I'm just overlaying my stupid, arrogant human mind onto this thing to try and explain it to people. Well, how could this tree be a thing? It's because I'm conscious and I see it. And so that's the only reason it's real, is because my mind makes it real. No, it's a real thing. It's there. I don't fully understand it because because some things are not knowable. Why do I say that? Because you see, but all of these things, the reason I know it's real is because it's observable. And I, as a conscious living thing, as a one, I am me. I'm one of many ones.
But you're seeing a pattern.
Right. I'm one. There are many, many other ones. Everybody's a one. I'm an individual. You judge me as an individual. I'm just me, right? You're just you. But we are connected. We're all interconnected. The tree is connected to me too, but it's a different thing. It's a different arrangement, organization of the things that make up everything. It's wood because that is the way nature arranged it. I didn't create it. It's a thing though. It's real. When I talk about zeros and ones, it's like, well, you can kind of think of it as a simulation. When I touch it, it's real. And I know this. And the reason I know it's real is because all of these things are observable. The balance of the universe is observable, and we can see that everything begins with nothing, and then you also have everything. It begins and ends with nothing and everything. You have in the universe, and this is observable, black holes. That is and that swallows everything. That is like a massive gravity hole that grabs a hold of everything around it and swallows literally is in the process of swallowing up. These black holes are swallowing up the entire universe bit by bit, crushing it into what? Nothing. Blackness, darkness, taking everything and just digesting it and crushing it to nothing.
But on the other side, what happened? Is there another Big Bang in another universe where everything starts back again from nothing?
Of course there is. Because why? You can't have nothing unless you have
something.
And not just something, Ian, but everything. Everything. Every zero, every one, to infinity and beyond. Zeros and ones. Every molecule, every proton, every photon, every single thing that has ever existed is going to be swallowed up and crushed into nothing. But you can't have nothing because reality exists. So it blows up again. It explodes in a massive explosion into the ultimate explosion, the ultimate expression of everything. Because from nothing, you must have everything. And it's a constant process. Over and over and over and over again. And from that, you get zeros, if you get a 0 and a 1, and then you get an infinite number of zeros and ones in between, and everything in between, nothing and everything is our reality. It's just the expression of those protons and molecules and all of the things that make up reality. They come back together again in not just chaos. I know it's not just chaos. It's organized, it's balanced, because it's all ruled by the laws of nature. And the law of nature is that you must have balance, because you can't have nothing unless you have something. That's the law.
Mm-hmm.
That's the only law that really governs everything. You either have a 0, which is just our way of expressing the concept of nothing. It could be any number, but we express it as 0. But how can we express 0 when 0 is nothing? 0 is nothing. I mean, even a negative is something, but because you owe something to something, it's a vacuum at that point. But a 0, that's like nothing. And yet, how can we express that as nothing? Well, now suddenly we've created the concept of 0. Now it's something. My God, it turns into a big bang. Now we've got infinity. Zeros and 1, because we've got 0, we got to have a 1. You get darkness, you've got light.
All comes down to frequencies.
Frequencies are in there. No, it's not just about frequencies, and frequencies are just part of it. Frequencies are part of of everything in nature. That's another arrangement, various arrangements. And frequencies can be arranged into music, or just static, or distortions, or vibrating sound.
Well, there's many there's many frequencies that agents life, if you will, because you got atomic frequency, you got light and darkness frequency. I mean, there's so many of it. So yeah,
and here's the other thing. I'm not sitting here tonight telling you I've got it all figured out. I'm telling you that I'm a stupid human, and this is just the best I can do, the best way I can express all of this. If you want to talk about quantum physics, quantum theory, and as it relates to AI and Einstein's spooky action theory, right? And the photon splitting, you're familiar with that, right? This is what has confounded scientists, is the spooky action. They can't understand it. They can't explain it. And Einstein, confounded by it, said that, well, if you have a photon and it splits, and then you know that if over here, this photon, which is related to that photon, but if it turns up over here at a distance, and if you think of it as a coin, right?
Yeah.
The coin
entanglement.
Right. Entanglement. If you split the coin in half, and heads is on one side, tails is on the other, or maybe you have one coin, but it's the same or duplicated or whatever, and you split it, and then they take off in different directions, and they're spinning when they land. If you know that the one to the left is heads, then you know the other one's got to be tails.
Right.
Because even though you can't see it, and they can't figure out how that happens. So Einstein said, well, it's kind of like you have a left glove and a right glove, so it's predetermined. But what they've shown is that as they spin, if you look at just one side, it's always random. It's always random, because you know that if you spin a slot machine, the odds of winning or losing are always the same. Right? If you roll dice, the odds are, if you gamble, the odds are always the same, if everything is as it's supposed to be and not rigged. But it's the same thing if you in spooky theory. So
yeah, basically you just spin you spin the penny, and basically you shut your eyes and just for a fraction of a second open them to see which face you're gonna see. That's basically what it is.
But the confounding part of it is that while it appears to be random, it clearly isn't, because if you know how it lands on one side, then you know already before even looking at the other one what the position of that one is going to be. That's why They can't figure it out. And quantum theory, quantum physics is based on this. All this AI stuff is based on that. And that's the hubris. That's the danger in all of this. This is why, as they build these data centers, we are getting into a very dark, dangerous time, because the truth of the matter is these scientists, these AI tech bros, they don't even understand it. That's why they just keep saying, they've got this phrase, they say, just calculate and shut up, or whatever it is. Or I think that's what it is. Or just calculate and shut up and just keep going. They don't understand
Calculate
how
and
AI
shut up.
even works, but they're using it and they're developing it. And the scary part is they're using it for, military applications and creating drones that may just actually exterminate us all. Or other things could happen with AI too. So this is the danger in it. But here's the other thing. It's like, and this again is the arrogance. Einstein confounded by it. And, I think there was actually a lot of prejudice and bigotry directed at Einstein, because the scientists that proved Einstein was wrong about that, they were given the Nobel Prize. I can't remember their names, several of them, right? But I don't think they deserve the Nobel frickin' Prize, because I've been reading about it over the last, 6 months or so, off and on. They didn't prove shit. Excuse my language. Okay? They don't deserve anything. You know what? Einstein, a lot of the people, like Nobel Prize, that's political. As you can see, Trump wants the Nobel Peace Prize, right? It's all political. So too on the science side. A lot of the people on the committees, they wanted to deny Einstein any kind of recognition because he was Jewish. All right. That's the truth. The racism and prejudice, it's just so freaking rampant. Smartest guy probably ever, whatever. But the thing is, these guys who say they proved Einstein wrong, they didn't prove him wrong. They just proved he wasn't right. And they still don't know. And the reason they don't, this is why they don't deserve the Nobel Prize, because they still don't understand it. All they did was prove that, I'm sorry, but the Jewish guy, okay, he wasn't right. And so they gave them the prize. But the truth is they still don't really quite understand why it happens. How this balance has to happen, even though it appears to be random, but clearly isn't. It's a confounding thing. And yet this technology, this AI technology, is based on this. And they don't even understand. So they win the Nobel Prize. And they didn't prove anything. They just proved that Einstein, and this is the thing, they didn't prove that Einstein was wrong. They proved that he wasn't right. That's the point. The thing is, I think down the road, no matter what, you can see that even here, balance is required. It's a law, a natural law, even within AI and quantum physics, even if they're sitting there tonight telling you, no, it's not true. No, we have to rethink everything. No, the truth is they don't really understand yet. They've got some stuff figured out and they've got this thing going, but you really dig into it. And when you get deep into it, you understand that they don't really understand. But there's a race on because it's working. They got it working and they can't take their foot off the gas now because everybody is afraid. They're paranoid of each other. We're all afraid of, other countries, other people. And so we're in this new arms race, which is an AI race for economic dominance, military dominance, political dominance around the world. I'm going to be, we're going to bring in conservatism, populism, communism, whatever. It's all because, and it's all, they think that this is going to be the answer. And the people who dominate in AI will control the world. And maybe we'll even live forever because we're going to get jacked into the matrix. And the truth of the matter is, it's all just Ian, please, my friend, it's just a bunch of zeros and ones. They're not that freaking smart.
No. And by the way, I think I remember what theory you were referring to with Einstein and it was the unified field theory. If my memory is correct. James.
He had a lot of theories, including a theory of relativity, E equals mc squared, right? Which brings us back to the sun and the light. And again,
fun fact.
Yeah.
It always came around him in the night during the moment he was almost like, kind of asleep and during his sleep. And then wake up with a new idea.
Yeah. Well, the destructive
That's how
force
crazy he was.
in
a good way.
Nuclear power just wasn't enough for us. We have to keep going, right? Until we destroy ourselves, I guess. And that's kind of where we're at. The sun is fusion power. The light that we bask in every day is the spent energy from the fusion process. And they say they've got that figured out. I haven't seen a real world application of it yet.
Right.
But we are on the cusp of a huge change.
Just for the fun of it, I mean, cool history fact. I think it was the movie Copernic, if I'm not mistaken, an old movie, I think, during the 80s.
What was
it was
what movie?
Copernic, I think. I'm not sure.
Copernic?
Copernic.
I don't know what you're talking about. Maybe I don't understand you.
Copernic, he was a scientist back during World War II, if I'm not mistaken. But basically, the movie is about, and if I'm not mistaken about the movie, because I go by memory, the movie is about basically Einstein during World War II when he was creating the bomb with the other, the others scientific. He was basically like alarming everyone that this thing will kill us.
Yeah, could destroy the whole universe.
Yeah, we
don't know.
We don't know
what will happen when we detonate it. It could, destroy everything. Yeah, because they didn't know then, and we don't know now. So, but we're still going to light it up, right? They're gonna light it up all over the place. They're building these damn data centers. That's why tomorrow night we're going to have a broad panel discussion on data centers here on Maverick News. So,
which the data centers also brings to Peter Thiel to a certain degree.
Yeah, he's right in there, but I think that he's a tard, and this is I think you can take this to the bank. Okay, I'm going to say something. If you have somebody online or in real life or any human being, anybody telling you that they have this all figured out and they have the answer and they understand the nature of the universe and
human nature,
whatever. Okay. No, they don't. they just don't. No, they don't. Nobody has got this whole thing figured out. Nobody, no online pundit, no author of anything, no human being, nobody. If they're telling you that, it's because the Martians have come down from planet X and, they're in charge of Donald Trump because they've got him jacked into the computer thing on their spaceship or whatever it might be. No, it's all crap. Those people have either convinced themselves of something that they really just don't know, or they're just lying. Like they might believe it themselves. They might be very invested in it and they might think it's true. But I just know this: we as human beings have not figured this out yet. We do not fully understand why a tree is a tree. We don't fully understand why water is water and is on this planet. We don't really fully understand all this stuff. And here's why we don't know, Ian. And I think this is the key. Because some things are not knowable. We're not supposed to know. We can't know. There's no way to know. We may never fully understand spooky action at a distance because we're maybe not supposed to know. It's maybe better if we don't know. The reason we can't know is because we can't know nothing. nor can we know everything, because I'm just one among many. I'm an individual as part of a greater whole, but I'm not the whole. I'm just me. And I can't know everything, and I can't know, certainly, sure as heck can't know nothing, because that's zero, and zero isn't even a thing. And yet I know that you can't have nothing unless you have everything. And that's the conundrum. That's the puzzle that can never, ever, ever be solved. It's not knowable.
Mm-hmm. There's a quote in the Bible about that, actually. I'm trying to remember the one that I'm looking for, but basically it goes to the laws of God are unpenetrable. So basically, you cannot know everything that God created.
Yeah, it's true. So if somebody's telling you otherwise, run the other way.
I got it.
They don't know.
The quote here is, you don't know, you do not know the path of the wind, so you cannot understand God's works of God. That's Ecclesiastic 11:5.
Yeah.
Trust the AI who tells me everything.
Well, with that, let's wrap it up for tonight. We'll be back tomorrow. We'll have this panel discussion on data centers. And I hope everybody can join us for that. And thank you, everybody, for watching tonight, hanging in there and listening to this. Not a single person brave enough to call in.
And I dared everyone
Yeah,
to
I'm
call.
not surprised either. Nobody calls in. That's fine.
Is that because of my French accent? I'm trying as much as I can.
Don't know, but that's okay. That's kind of par for the course these days. I shall be back 7 p.m. Eastern tomorrow night on the
flip side.
They're just dumb, running their mouths with a digital thumb. Think they're tough, but they ain't that hard. Pity the fools, they're the tars. Retarded, can't see straight, full of rage and second-rate hate. Retarded, trying so hard, screaming at ghosts. They're the tars. No real thoughts, just mob and wine, marching circles, toe the line. Quick report, cancel, flee, ain't got nothing but misery. Retarded, heads full of noise, broken tools with shiny toys. Retarded, playing the card, pity the fools. They're the tars. Hey, hey, shut it down. No more truth in tar tales.
This has been a Maverick Multimedia production.